So we're going into the western suburbs of Sydney, Australia, to the suburb of North Strathfield, which on August 17th, 1991 was the home of Wade John Frankum, and he lived here at 12 Boronga Street, this house here in North Strathfield. It's a complex of 4 units, and Frankum lived in unit number 4. Now on the afternoon of August 17th, 1991, Frankum left the home here and walked a short distance to the North Strathfield railway station. Now his most likely route was along Boronga Street onto Queen Street. There is another alternative route he could have taken. He could have walked onto this street here, which is Tenterfield Street, and onto Waratah Street, but I assumed, walking it myself, I would have walked along Boronga Street over here to Queen Street, walk up Queen Street, and then in this vicinity here is a series of shops. Now in 1991 Frankum stopped at one of these shops and bought cigarettes. Exactly what shop, I'm not sure, but after there it's a very short distance to the entrance to the North Strathfield railway station, which is right around here, and Frankum would have walked over towards the platform, which is in this section here at North Strathfield railway station, and which was a possible location for his shooting spree. So at 1:45 PM he caught the train from North Strathfield, which took him a short distance to up here to the Strathfield station, which was only one stop away. That's the Strathfield station, and then from there, very short distance, as you can see, to Strathfield Plaza. So right next door, this is the Strathfield Plaza, and that is where he would commit the Strathfield Massacre. I'm standing in front of number 773 George Street, Sydney. Now in 1991, this building somewhere in here was known as Smith's Sports Store, and it was here that on January 16th, 1991, Wade Frankum bought the SKK semi-automatic rifle that he would later use in the Strathfield Massacre. What's more, a few months later, in April 1991, Frankum returned to this store and bought a large Bowie knife with a 25cm blade, which he would also use at Strathfield later that year. So it all came from here. Now, the Smith Sports Store's long gone, but some incredible things here. If you look up on the building here, you can still see the old signs, Winchester rifles. Hang on, it's a bit hard to see here with this tree, but it says Ruger. Ruger, and very, very faint in there, I think it says Remington. So that's incredible. Now, I don't have any local knowledge, but apparently the Smith Sports Store has been closed for years, so the fact that it still has the old signage is incredible. 773 appears to be this store here, but it may well have changed over the years, but it was here that Wade Frankum, back in early 1991, purchased his rifle, the SKK, and the hunting knife that he would use to commit the Queen Street Massacre, the Strathfield Massacre, here on George Street, Sydney. I'm at 12 Boronga Street, North Strathfield, the former home of Wade John Frankum. Frankum lived here at unit number 4, which I think is in the back. Wade John Frankum was born on January 23rd, 1958. In the 1980s, his father died of emphysema. And in April 1990, his mother committed suicide right here at 12 Boronga Street in one of these garages, which I think is further to the back. Frankum, 3 weeks after that, Frankum moves in to Unit 4 with his sister Gaynor and her boyfriend Darren Chalk. Now on Saturday, August 17th, 1991, circa 1 p.m, Frankum leaves these unit blocks carrying a bag and a rifle which is hidden in a long cylinder, and walks to North Strathfield Railway Station. Now there's 2 ways you can get to North Strathfield Railway Station from here. Most obvious would be down here to Queen Street. Probably a longer way would be that way via Waratah, but I would assume that Frankum walked this way toward North Strathfield Railway Station, leaving at around 1 p.m. that afternoon. Here on the corner of Waratah and Queen Street, fronting Queen Street and fronting the North Strathfield Railway Station, is a series of shops, which must have been the shops Frankum stopped at. Because before reaching the train station, Frankum stopped and bought some smoke. See, now that's Waratah, another alternative route Frankum possibly could have taken, but I think if I was him, I would have taken the route I just went on. It's a bit straighter, but we see these shops here, and somewhere in one of these shops, probably a deli or something, Frankum bought a packet of smokes before he walked to the North Strathfield Railway Station, which is just over the road. So, stopped at one of these shops and to the train station. We've emerged at North Strathfield Railway Station. That's Queen Street. Wade Frankum would have walked off Queen Street here into the station a bit after 1 p.m. that Saturday, August 17th, 1991. Here at North Strathfield Railway Station, Wade Frankum comes to the ticket office, buys a train ticket, then walks away, but returns to the station master, who's a man he knows casually, named Clive Young, and he tells Clive Young, "You better go home, Clive." Young replies, "Not yet." Frankum then walks away, but allows the next train at 1:13 p.m. to leave before catching the next train at 1:45 p.m. It's interesting that Frankum let the train leave. He may have possibly been thinking of committing a mass shooting here at North Strathfield, but he caught the 1:45 p.m. train and was next got off at Strathfield Station. Approximately 1:50 p.m. Wade Frankum gets off at Strathfield train station and walks the very short distance to the Strathfield Plaza. Now, by this time it would have been around 2 p.m, but he's not seen again, at least by eyewitnesses, until 2:30 p.m. when he emerges in the coffee lounge. So what was he doing for approximately half an hour? Not sure. Maybe wandering around. But he walked a very short distance to the Strathfield shopping plaza. sure the plaza has undergone changes over the years. It's been 32 years since the massacre. Here she is, the Strathfield Plaza. So Wade Frankum would have entered the Strathfield shopping plaza here at the entrance. Now, you're generally not allowed to film inside shopping centres, so and I've had a walk through, and I'm sure the plaza has changed. The old coffee pot, coffee lounge is not there anymore. There is a coffee lounge area, but I don't know if it's in the same location as the original coffee lounge. Who knows? I mean, I'm not sure of the exact location of that coffee lounge, but that's where Wade Frankum was next seen at 2:30 p.m. and he sat there for about 65 minutes. He ordered 4 consecutive cups of coffee, and then at 3:35 p.m. he began his rampage. I'm sitting in the coffee box in Strathfield Plaza. Now, I'm not sure if this is the exact location of the original coffee lounge, but it's a similar type setup, so let's say it is. So let's get back to the narrative of what happened that day. Wade Frankum sat in the coffee pot coffee lounge from 2:30 p.m. to 3:35 p.m. At 3:35 p.m., without warning, he stands up and he stabs to death 15-year-old Roberta Armstrong, stabbing her 4 times in the back. She and a friend were sitting in a booth directly behind Frankum. After leaving the knife in Roberta, which was a 25-centimetre Bowie knife, he takes out his rifle, which had been hidden. He then opens fire. He shot dead 61-year-old Joyce Nixon and 36-year-old Patricia Rowe, who was sitting nearby. Hearing the gunshots, the owner of the coffee lounge, 51-year-old George Mavericks, appears, and he too is shot dead. In a nearby booth are sitting 3 women. 17-year-old Rochelle Milburn approaches toward Frankum and is shot dead. 47-year-old Carol Dickinson, in an effort to save her daughter, 20-year-old Belinda, is also fatally shot. She's shot in the chest and dies later that night in hospital. At this point, Wade Frankum leaves the coffee pot coffee lounge. He's murdered 6 people inside the coffee lounge here at Strathfield Plaza. After leaving the coffee lounge, Frankum begins walking toward the escalators and continues his firing. A woman is wounded. His next victim is 53-year-old Robertson Can Hock Voon, who was shot dead near Franklin Supermarket, near the escalators. Now that's Woolworths. Now I wonder if that was Franklin's in the day. Hello. So after leaving, Frankum then takes the escalators up to the next level. At this point, a man named Greg Reed has seen Frankum shooting and begins running ahead of Frankum, warning people to get down. Mr. Reed is later awarded a bravery medal. So Frankum emerges into these escalators, where he shoots several people. Another couple is wounded, and a cleaner named George Sidaway is shot 4 times, but amazingly survives. So he begins walking to this level up to the car park roof. So we're now emerging onto the car park roof. Now I have to try and work out which way Frankum travelled. He fires at a car with a woman in it. but she is not wounded. At some point, Greg Reed is wounded. He'd been directing people to lay down, and Frankum spots him around here. Reed dives behind a car, but is shot in the feet, but would survive. Now, Frankum apparently tries to enter the Social Security building, which I assume was this building here. It can be the only building. The Social Security building was shut, and he tried to fire his way in, but was unsuccessful. What he was trying to do, not exactly sure. Speculation that he was trying to gain higher ground, perhaps. Now, after failing to get into the Social Security building, at some point he takes some shots at the nearby Strathfield railway station. Which, if we come along here, we will be able to see. As always, I reiterate that everything may have changed around here since 1991. I've seen the photos of the car park at the time, and it's pretty much similar, but there are some differences. So if you can see here, you can see the Strathfield railway station just over the way there. Now, Frankum from up here fired some shots towards that building and actually wounded 2 more people. Of course, by this point, police were closing in. Now, somewhere around here, Wade Frankum carjacks or accosts a woman named Catherine Noyes. Gets into a car at gunpoint and instructs her to drive him to Enfield, a nearby suburb. Not really sure why Frankum said drive me there, but at some point, as she was heading towards the exit, which I assume is this exit here, as police were closing in, Frankum told her to stop the car. He got out, said, "I'm sorry," kneeled down, put the rifle under his chin, and shot himself dead. Now, it was in this area right around here that would have happened. I've been trying to pinpoint the location. On the old photos, it does appear to have changed. As if there was a bit of a ridge here somewhere and then it dropped down a bit. It was certainly closer to this side of Strathfield Plaza. There's apartment buildings here. So I would guesstimate that Wade Frankum committed suicide somewhere here, where you're looking at now, this general vicinity. I wish I could pinpoint the exact spot, but it has changed and makes that difficult. But this is where the Strathfield Massacre ended. When it was done, Frankum had murdered 7 people, 6 had been shot dead, a 7th had been stabbed to death, 7 others had been wounded, and Frankum then shot himself dead. Right here, on the car park roof. August 17th, 1991. Just outside Strathfield Plaza, there is a small plaque in commemoration of the massacre. It reads, "This tree was planted to remember those who were killed in Strathfield Plaza on Saturday, 17th of August 1991. Roberta Armstrong, Carol Dickinson, George Mavris, Rochelle Milburn, Joyce Nixon, Patricia Rowe, Robertson Can Hook Boone. This tree is a sign of our commitment to work for a more peaceful community. It's good to see there's some memorial at least, just outside the main entrance of Strathfield Plaza. Rest in peace to all the victims.